Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a new vlog. I have spent the last 2 days finishing up Mansfield Park, which I started not in last week's vlog, but in the one before, but that got a little sidetracked. I got a little sidetracked reading that because I started the Odyssey, which if you're curious on that, that was last week's vlog. So I was very, very happy to jump back into Mansfield Park once I was done with the Odyssey. They are very, very different vibes, obviously. And so it was really nice to get back into kind of a Jane Austen world after all of that. I did end up finishing Mansfield Park last night, or no, this morning. This was my second time reading through Mansfield Park. I haven't read it in about 4.5 years now, and it was the Jane Austen that I remembered the least of, and so when I was thinking about books that I wanted to read and reread this year, this was very high on the list, and so I'm really glad that I finally got to it again. And I have a lot of my thoughts of like the process and everything in my vlog from 2 weeks ago, but if you don't feel like going back and listening to it, that's fine. I will give some final thoughts here. So basically, also I'll kind of give a plot summary because I didn't do that in that video, and I think that wasn't very smart of me. So basically, Mansfield Park, we are following Fanny Price. She is our protagonist. She's our main character. I don't know why I'm trying to use fancy words. It's barely 9 a.m. Fanny is our main character, and basically in the beginning of the novel, she goes from her family where she has like 8 other siblings, and her mom and dad are just really like overrun and overworked. So her Aunt Bertram and her Aunt Norris, they kind of married more rich, and so they're like, let's take Fanny in, specifically the Bertrams, take Fanny in to live with them when she is about 10 years old. We just kind of see her life as she is now a young woman after having lived, like matured basically in the Bertram household, and seeing kind of how she's different from her 2 cousins, Julia and Maria, and then also she has this bond with Edmund, one of her other cousins, and just seeing what her life looks like in that. And there are basically like 2 different sections of the book because it is a very long book. I want to say it's Jane Austen's longest book. They're basically 2 different sections, and the first section is the uncle, Sir Thomas, is away taking care of some business, and while he is away, the young people, except for Fanny, decide to put on a play that is, Fanny is basically like, this is not a great idea. But Fanny is very quiet and mild-mannered, so she doesn't really say anything about it, but she's watching all of this happen, and she's kind of being like, my cousins and their friends are disgracing themselves. So that's like plot 1, and then that gets resolved, and then plot 2 is one of those friends, I won't say who because I don't want to spoil it, but one of those friends develops an interest in, specifically a guy, develops an interest in Fanny and decides that it is going to be his life mission to woo her and make her marry him. And that is kind of like the second plot, and it happened, like, it makes sense that it's all the same book, but it feels very much like 2 different stories. And Fanny, just as a character, she just is not very confident, and she's not very sure of herself, and I kind of struggled with that at times with her. I know this is crazy, but I'm actually going to be giving this book 4 stars. The first time I read it, I definitely did give it 5 stars, but just because it's Jane Austen does not mean that I have to give it 5 stars. I still love the book, and I would definitely recommend it, but it's very slow at certain points. Fanny does not develop a lot as much as I would like for a character to develop, and then the ending, who she does end up with, I'm not a fan of, and I don't like it, and I think she should have ended up with someone different. Those are my thoughts on Mansfield Park. I still thoroughly enjoyed it and loved it and would reread it again. Absolutely, I would. But there were just a number of things that I was like, this is not a perfect book, so I'm not going to rate it like it's a perfect book just because it's Jane Austen, you know? So those are my final thoughts on Mansfield Park. I would love to hear if you have any, obviously, in the comments. But it is time to do a spinner wheel. I haven't done a spinner wheel in a hot minute because this summer has just gotten away from me, y'all. I don't know if y'all feel that way. I feel like June I was like tracking, and then July, when I went out of town at the beginning of July, ever since then my reading life has just been like a little crazy. So I would love for August to be a month of change and to get, or not change, a month of consistency and getting back to like what I normally am doing. All right, I have the spinner wheel pulled up. There are 14 left, and I have been on a streak, I think, of like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, or 3 or 4 spins in a row where I got blue picks. So if I get a blue pick, well, I'm not gonna respin, but I'm gonna swear that this game is rigged. Let's spin and see what we're getting. Oh, okay, it's a green. What is it? The Beautiful Disguise! I'm so excited about this one. The Beautiful Disguise is book 1 in the Imposter series by Roseanna M. White, and I know this has to do with a detective agency in like pre-World War I? 1909. So yeah, pre-World War I. Oh, I'm so excited about this. I know I'm gonna eat this book up. Y'all know I love Roseanna M. White. Okay, that is my pick for the week. I will be starting this later today after I get off of work. Hey y'all, I have started A Beautiful Disguise by Roseanna M. White, and I am enjoying it, definitely enjoying it. I feel like I've just like slipped back into the world of Roseanna M. White, and I'm loving it. It's so fun when you can just re-enter a world that an author has created. Even though it's different characters, it's even like a different time setting. It's so beautiful and so like comforting. Basically, we have met our 2 main characters. We are following Lady Marigold's, what's her last name? Fairfax. And Marigold and her brother and some of their friends have a little secret business. It's not little, it's actually all of society knows about them, but it's called the Imposters. But the secret is that nobody knows exactly who is in the Imposters, and it's basically like a spy detective agency where they get privately hired by people and then they will investigate whatever they want them to investigate. I'm assuming within reason. Like, I don't think they break the law. It's not like some of her other series where the main characters were like crooks. So they kind of have that little detective agency going, and Marigold, so far we have just kind of gotten to see some interactions with her brother and her best friend Lavinia. Lavinia is not part of the Imposters, but we've gotten to see like those interactions. And then our other main character is, oh, what's his name? Merritt. What's his last name? Livingston. Merritt Livingston, and he was in the like best type of like guard that you could be. Like, he guarded the royal family, but he suffered an injury or an illness that has basically kept him from being able to return to service. So he was promoted to a desk job within the like intelligence agency within the War Office, and he's kind of discovered he has some suspicions about a coworker, and so he is seeking out the imposters to uncover that information, because when he tries to uncover that information, he like breaks his ankle. And that's like kind of the inciting incident. That's what like gets you hooked on the characters, and that's how their paths crossed. Is Marigold was visiting Lavinia, and Lavinia's father is the coworker that Merritt is trying to like suss out, and so Merritt has also gone to visit Lavinia with his friend, but in hopes that he would get to like spy around. And when he did, he broke his ankle, and Marigold saw that happen, but she's kept quiet about it because she's like, what's going on? So now they're starting to investigate the person that Merritt wants them to investigate, and I'm really curious to see how their paths cross again. They both seem like very independent characters who don't want someone else to like intrude on the life that they've got going for themselves. Except for like Merritt would love to not be ill or injured, but they just don't really seem like people who would maybe want to be in a relationship. So I'm very curious to see where that goes. So I'm going to read a little bit more of this tonight while I eat dinner and check back in with y'all tomorrow. Hey y'all, I'm literally in bed, but I wanted to give you an update before I read any more of A Beautiful Disguise. I am a little over halfway through it now, and I am loving this story so much. Like, when I said it was so fun to jump back into Roseanna M. White and the worlds that she creates, I mean it. Like, Oh, no one else does it like her. I mean, there are people that do, but just the way she writes characters, the way she writes families and siblings, like the siblings in this book, Marigold and her brother Yates, are just, they're so close and they're so sweet, and their friendships with the people around them, I'm like, yes, like it makes the characters so relatable, you know, of like they had friendships and they had families just like we do. And like maybe it is a little exaggerated in the sense of like definitely some of their dialogue and their thought process is a little bit more modern than it probably would have actually been back then. It makes the characters seem so relatable, and like I just appreciate it a lot. So one of the things I talked about in my favorite authors video is how Roseanna M. White creates characters that are not carbon cut copies of each other. They're all like, they have their different interests and everything. And the interest in this book is, well, I explained how Merritt is like a former military, well, he's still in the military, but he's been like assigned to a desk job now. I think I explained that. Anyway, so that's kind of like his thing, is like being in the military and being a guard, and then now like kind of he's since been put on, what's it called? He's been made to take a leave of absence because of his health. But Marigold and her brother, they basically grew up around circus performers. They are nobility, but their father was a bit eccentric, and he would let this one circus troupe spend the winter on their property, and so they grew up around these circus performers, and they are trapeze artists. Is that what you call them? They like know how to do the like high flying trapeze routines and are very like acrobatic and stuff, and they use that a lot with their imposters business, their detective business. And I just think it's so cool, and it's also like provides a lot of talking points with like the other friends. And Merritt and Marigold continue to cross paths because I think I already explained this, but Marigold and Lavinia are friends, and then Merritt and his friend Lord Xavier continue to like spend time with the two young ladies, and just like are constantly in the same company. They've kind of just like formed a little, I guess you could say, a friend group, although obviously it's not what they would have called it. But no one is like officially liking one another yet. And that's one thing, like I got to a little over halfway mark and I was like, Mary and Marigold don't really like have feelings for each other yet. And literally like a chapter later they started to be like, I wonder what these feelings for the other person might be, you know? And I do think it's a little bit out of nowhere. I wish there had been some hints peppered into some earlier chapters, like some foreshadowing of like noticing one another or something like that. It just felt a little like it came on all of a sudden. Like kind of overnight they both realized that the other person was maybe a little more important to them than they had realized. They're not in love or anything yet. I just, you know what I'm saying. So anyway, that's where we're at with A Beautiful Disguise. I'm gonna read a bunch more of it. Well, I'm probably only gonna read like one more chapter before I go to bed, if I'm being honest. But that is where we're at. I just wanted to update y'all. And yeah, I will catch up with y'all later. I have a little less than 30 pages left in A Beautiful Disguise, and I'm still really enjoying this book. I have got to say, the last like 25% of this book has just been like a lot of stuff is happening, and like things are really clicking along, and they've been like, a lot of stuff has been happening the entire book, but I just feel like everything is really starting to like pick up speed, and it's like discoveries are being made like every single day, if not twice a day, instead of like every couple of days, which it was in the beginning. And like I get that that is how you pace a good mystery, I guess. It just like, it's a little confusing for me because I do like a mystery, I do like a drama of like, oh, what's gonna happen, but it can be hard for me to keep up with. And it's definitely this one, I'm like, I have to like really focus on what is happening and what is being said, and like told to the reader, because if I'm not, I'm like, details are going over my head and I'll like get to a paragraph, I'm like, wait, when did we learn about that? And I'll have to go back. So I'm like really trying to pay attention, which like obviously you should pay attention to what you're reading, but you know. So the romance is definitely like romancing at this point in the book, and it's very sweet, but it's also like went from like nothing to like everything. And obviously not like it's all clean, kisses only, but you know what I'm saying, of just like the intensity of the feeling and the like intentions of the relationship went from literal like, oh well, I don't see myself ever getting married, to like ready to spend your whole life with someone, which it just feels like a lot. I know for the time period it's like that's kind of how it was, but it's just like, whoa. I'm not saying I'm not enjoying that, like I am loving it and the chemistry feels real. I do actually feel like the relationship is very much like, I still see the distinct people. I still see Marigold and I still see Merritt and I still see them being themselves, just now they are like coming together, and I appreciate that. I hope all of that makes sense. Anyway, I'm going to finish this book now and hopefully be awake enough to talk to you by the end. I am fading fast, but I really, really want to finish this today. The end. I finished it. Y'all, that last 2 chapters, that was crazy. It was a journey. I wish I had recorded the whole thing. I just recorded the last chapter, but oh my goodness, some stuff went down and I was like, how are they gonna make this make sense? But she did. Maybe I'm just like not remembering the other ones as in depth, but I feel like this one was so mystery heavy, and I'm not complaining about it by any means, but it was definitely like, it was a lot of mystery, and definitely like some stuff at the end that I was like, this is like actually really intense and like really dramatic, and it's just kind of like being written off as like the conclusion of the story, and I'm like, this is a lot is going on right now. But I really enjoyed it. I think my like gut rating would be like 4 stars. I'm gonna sit with it overnight, but I think it's probably gonna be 4 stars, and I really want to read the rest of the series. I think I know who maybe the characters will be for the other 2 books, but we shall see. I think one of them will be the other girl, or the young lady who's in The Imposters, Gemma, and then maybe the other one will be her friend Lavinia. That's my best guess. I'll look up the next one, but I don't want to look up the third because I don't want to be spoiled in case, like, I don't think anyone would like be killed or something, but there were some gunshots in this book. I will say there were some gunshots. I love this book. It was so good. I definitely recommend it. All right, I'm very sleepy, so I need to go to bed now, but I did it. I finished it, and that was the goal. Hey y'all, just realized that I did not actually do a conclusion for this video last night. I just kind of talked about my final thoughts on the book, so I thought I would just do something really quick. I don't really have anything else to say. I think after sitting on A Beautiful Disguise overnight, I would definitely say it was a 4-star read. All the things I said about it kind of still stand. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to read the other books. Like, I think they're gonna be so good. And I did look, and the next one does follow Gemma and Graham, who are 2 of the other imposters that are not Marigold and her brother Yates. So I'm very much looking forward to reading those and getting them. It might be a little while until I actually get them and read them. We'll see, just because I'm trying to cut down on that physical TBR, but you know how it is. So let me know if you have read A Beautiful Disguise or Mansfield Park, which is what I finished in the beginning of the video. I would love to chat about it in the comments, but thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a like, and if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you in a video very soon. Bye!